stumbled upon just being like Chat GDP when that came out and just being AI stuff. It's like it is interesting going to see if now that white collar job going to be taken over by machines and those blue collar jobs are now going to be your premium.
Ooh, okay. I have thoughts on that part. I definitely have thoughts on that part. Okay, so
But that's just
like
interesting, like holy crap.
I use ChatGPT probably on a daily basis at this point. Like prepping for this like podcast, I was using it. Like that Coachella summary was made by ChatGPT. I'm telling you that right now. Like
Disclaimer, you sack. I thought those were personal thoughts. Out here telling everything out here just experience of my life, and out here, yeah, I got my idea from Chat GDP. Thanks.
but it's not only that. Like I don't see it as a replacement. I see it as like an assistant, right? So like I think even when I was at Konica Minolta, right. So like my past job, I was working for a legacy printing company in their innovation department, and this was back in 2000 and like 2017, 2018, and like the goal is to basically like find a new industry for that company to go into, right? So we're like the internal incubator or moonshot factory for that company, and there's always this like notion that like new technology is going to like come in and remove a bunch of jobs. But I think time and time again, we've seen technology come up and supplement a portion of the work only to make that one individual more efficient. Right. So like Microsoft Word didn't destroy the entire industry of people that were writing on typewriters. Right. Like it's a different way. People became more efficient. I mean, now there's AI that writes that for you, but like it's just like
that could do digitally like Photoshop like illustrations and create like a whole entire website. I've not played with it, but I'm just keep seeing it. It's like it took over your customer service. It could take over customer service Q&A. Like it has the capabilities of just doing that. You answer a question and it does like it just feels like one of those automated chats you could do on any other questionnaire box. That's what I'm thinking at too. It's like those small little things that you think is like, oh, like you kind of go in industry stuff.
I think it's going to create a gap between like the knowledge workers that can keep up, learn with it, and utilize it. But it's going to be a very similar gap to like, right? Like even our parents' generation, if they came in and did some of the stuff that we do today, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this technology has changed. Like we did things differently. We were using filing cabinets instead of like online folders, right? Like there's a difference of, like they're printing everything. They're highlighting things. Like that's just not the way the business is today. I think this is just that next iteration where it's accelerating pretty quickly. Is that generation is going to see all of this happen in their lifetime though, right? So like there was already like one or two jumps that they had to make that, especially like you were saying, they're trying to enter the workforce. There's a lot that I think could go into like reskilling individuals if they want to be reskilled.
So adding on to that then, how for me it's like hard to stay on. Like yes, I probably morning brew and just get the daily news. What is your kind of daily news or like ways to stay on top of this new and upcoming like software to implement to make sure you're ahead of the game?
So I'll split that answer up into two different.
You consume knowledge like no other. Like one of my homies, like actually just consume like in 5 minutes and feel like you could talk like you're a damn expert, which is kind of annoying but cool at the same time.
So there's two ways, right? I could think about it from like how I would or how I do recommend like my dad to stay up to date versus like how I stay up to date.
Okay.
How I stay up to date, I think maybe at least an hour to 2 hours every day. I'm either reading newsletters that is doing some of the synopsis work for me. I'm watching a subset of like YouTubers or podcasts. I do listen to them at anywhere between 2 to 3x speed. So that helps the amount of content that I could take in. And I think lastly, it's your social circle, right? Like if you're hanging out with individuals that are also kind of looking in different areas, either in their industry or at the tech sector as a whole or the economy as a whole, right? Like we have our buddies that it's like, oh, this is a financial question. I don't know anything about the banking system, but I know somebody.
Yeah.
Right. Just the ability of having that one piece of I know somebody makes all the world of a difference, because an individual that doesn't know somebody is going to either be overwhelmed trying to research it themselves, they're going to successfully maybe learn it by themselves, or they're just going to ignore that topic altogether.
Yeah, I can agree with that one. So I'm gonna just go off a quick side note was when I did my creative podcast, um, my photography skills and knowledge and within like social media, like during the time apparently has changed now over the last 3 years, was excelled just because of the people you talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy. So yeah, I agree to that one. It's who you know. Sorry, I got nothing to provide right now besides just my emotional insight and
I
yes.
mean, it's one of the hardest things that I've had to struggle with since moving up to Seattle, right? I moved up here
Yeah.
2 years ago with basically no network.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the people that I used to hang out with and have those conversations with to accelerate that learning kind of had to start from zero, right? And maybe it's just the season that I'm at. I'm a little bit older. Like I'm the focus isn't going out on a Friday night. The focus isn't like doing crazy stuff, right? It's just more the ability to find a social circle that can like mentally stimulate like my brain with like whatever we're talking about is something that I think is like probably one of the most desired things that I'm looking for in like a friend group.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be about things like AI or tech, right? It's like you, every time you talk about things in the health realm, it's super interesting, right? Because like you know your stuff. It's I mean, yeah, sure, I could YouTube it, but why would I YouTube something that you have 10 to 12 years of experience on and can answer with more detail, more pointed answers because you know what questions to ask before you answer? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't really replace that. Maybe ChatGPT can in the future, but you know, like
It might, dude. It helped me do like a little report on it. Like, hey, I need a quick summary on this stuff, and it did a great job.
so maybe it's coming, right? So I'll have my own little Justin bot over here to help me with like, oh my neck hurts, um, but no, I do think that like having individuals that they got their niche and you talk about it. I mean, there's that like quote that like different levels of society talk about different things, right? There's those who talk about other people. There's those that like do you know what I'm talking about? What that quote is? I
Yeah.
don't remember what it is.
So,
I mean, I found the quote. I could say the quote.
just read the quote. Read the quote.
So it's great minds discuss ideas, average minds
Oh, okay.
discuss events, small minds discuss people.
Mm,
And so I don't think it's like I think it genuinely also comes to like what an individual wants to talk about, but talking about those like ideas and like talking about AI and stuff like that, like what is going on in the industry, that's an event. Okay. So that's like average minded. But then talking about like what you could do with AI, that's like idea minded. And then like if you really, really care about it, maybe you could talk about like the founder of AI, like open AI and or the current CEO, right? Like, yeah, we could talk about him, but like doesn't I mean maybe it's cool, maybe it matters. I mean, the dude's a genius, yeah, sure. But like it's almost like being focused on like what Elon's doing versus like what Tesla's doing versus like how it's changing the industry,
yeah.
right? I think there's different layers that come for each of those types of discussions.
Yeah. Right.